Yeah, okay, so from as far back as I can remember, my first experiences with prejudice or racism was about when I was about 7 years old, and really never even thought about the fact that I was different from anybody else, because back in those days, watching TV, and I'm sort of dating myself, I saw white people on television, and I was in love with a lot of white actresses, and when I started going to school, I was about 7, I think it was. We were getting bused down to a school that was kind of segregated, so they were interracially mixing the black kids. This was in Brooklyn, and it was in East New York. We got, actually, no, actually, it was in Brownsville where I grew up, but we got bused down to, I think that was the Crown Heights section, beginning of Crown Heights in Brooklyn. So we all got bused down there, and it was pretty good. We had good teachers and everything. And I had a lot of friends who were white, and most of my friends were white at the time, my classmates. And I got teased a lot by my black family members, I should say, that I was always friends with white kids, and I never understood that, So one particular day, there was a girl that I used to play around with a lot, and I was playing around with her, and then we decided to be boyfriend and girlfriend. So I told my classmate, I said, "Oh," he says, "Yeah, my girlfriend, she's nice." He said, "You got a girlfriend?" I said, "Yeah," and I can't remember. I was 7 years old. So I said, "I can't remember her name, and I told him, I can't remember her name now, but I told him, what her name was, and he said, "Oh," he said, "she can't be your girlfriend." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because she's white and you're black." And that's the first time I ever heard anything like that, because my mother never raised us to distinguish between people's colors. She had white friends who came to the house. My first parakeets, one of her coworkers brought and, taught me how to take care of them and everything. So I never even thought about that. There was anything different, I could see the difference, but, beyond that, I didn't think there was anything wrong. So when he said that, I was really upset. So I went home and talked to my mom, and I said, "Mom, let me ask you a question." She said, "What is it?" I said, my classmate was telling me that I can't have a white girl for a girlfriend. And she says, "Oh, don't listen to that." So I said, okay, but I didn't really accept that because it bothered me a lot. So from that time on, I was always conscious of what people were saying about the races and things like that. I mean, we had police officers back then who were white police officers who were nicer than the black police officers. So, it wasn't, to me, it was never a thing of racism or anything like that. Because I had some black cops that were really mean, So, like I said, I was growing up, with that mindset that it wasn't anything wrong with any difference between people. But I experienced a lot of it from like white classmates, white coworkers, and then as I got older, we started traveling. We walked down to Prospect Park because we couldn't afford to get on the bus, so we walked down Eastern Parkway, which is now interracially mixed, but back then it was predominantly Jewish. And the cops kept stopping us and said, "Where are you going?" We said, "Well, we're going to Prospect Park." And he says, "Well, why are you walking down here?" And we said, "No, we're just walking because we can't afford to get on the bus." So he would say, "Well, make sure you go straight there. Don't go to the left or go to the right. Make sure you go straight to Prospect Park." So we said, "Yes, sir." Because I was always taught by my mom to respect the police. So I always did. And we got stopped like, I would say 4 or 5 times along the route. Maybe it's like a 5-mile walk. And they kept stopping us. And I never I never thought about it being racist or anything like that. But as I look back, hindsight, it kind of was, because the police officers even back then had a preconceived notion about black children, or black people in general. And I think that comes from the way you're raised and brought up. And my mother never raised me like that, so I never really had a problem. Like a lot of my friends have problems with other races. I never really had a problem. They used to call me white boy because, I spoke properly, you know, which my mom taught me. She says, no, don't say that when you're in school. Don't speak like that. She says, you'll never get a job speaking like that. I can talk like that, but she taught me never to speak like that. So and I think that's a lot of my success came from that. You know, having a good mom that wasn't racist or anything like that. And, you know, all this racial stuff that's going on now, it comes from, you know, it just goes way back. I would even say it goes back as far as slavery, which I knew nothing about at that time. I learned that as I got older because they didn't teach us that in school. And I think a lot of it is learned, you know, or taught, or you know, bad experiences that people have. And, you know, I haven't had many bad experiences. I had just little instances where I could look back and say, yeah, that was a little racism. You know, it was a little prejudice. But I never let it affect me like some of my friends. They would really get angry, you know, wanted to join the Black Panthers and stuff like that. And I never felt that way. I got along with everybody, and I still do to this day. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. I think racism is like a disease, you know. It's like a tumor or a cancer, and it grows inside of you, you know. If you don't take care of it, it'll just get worse, and it can kill you, and you can even affect other people, like your siblings or your family members, you know. So I never taught my children to distinguish among races. I always taught them everybody's the same, we all bleed the same, with different colors, different shades, but it doesn't matter. You know, you get an education, you're just as good as anyone else. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. And I think I've been successful, and I try to, hopefully that my kids and my grandkids will be successful also.